100 Thieves is dominating North American Marvel Rivals, and I wanted to highlight some of the clips of what they do that makes them so strong. One of the best things they have is their ability to absorb pressure from the opposing team. So in this clip, we see them holding a defensive position on domination map. You can see that they have the point currently. The percents are pretty close to even. We see three ults for both teams. And we're gonna see Vinny just holding close on this choke, kind of punching in. He's gonna quickly look for his ult. It's gonna get immediately responded to by Paint, kind of keeping his whole team alive. And they're gonna ult back with Remix's ult, the Thing ult, and stun up Vinny and turn him back. So immediately, 100 Thieves are on the back foot in this fight. They also use Invisible Woman ult to try and save Vinny, but he is just outside of it here and doesn't end up getting saved, so he goes down. And what we're going to see now is that they're going to push forward. Envy's going to push forward. And 100 Thieves is going to back all the way out. They're going to back way to the back of point using the Invisible Woman ult. You can see that they're already so far back. They kind of understand that they have the point, and it's on Envy to actually push into them. So as this clip plays out, we're going to see Envy kind of push forward, continue to try and capture the point. But if you watch this bar in the middle, you'll notice that Envy are struggling to make progress on this point. 100 Thieves continually push onto this point and never let them capture it. We see delenaa actually gets a kill, but he gets immediately traded out. So the fight's still just about even now that Vinny is back. And Envy is struggling to make progress on this point due to great positioning and play from 100 Thieves. So 100 Thieves still keeping the point. Terra eventually gets a pick. He pulls his ult. We see both Luna ults, so now it's stalled, but this is actually in favor of 100 Thieves since they already have the point. TTK ults on top of his Luna. The Luna flickers to damage boost for a second for TTK to get his ult off. And now the fight is pretty much lost for Envy, and they're going to clean it up. So a fight where they traded equal ults but lost a player ends up with just a bunch more points on the board for 100 Thieves and a lost fight for Envy. So really good stuff from them. All right, so in this clip on Yggdrasil Path, very start of the map for Envy's offense, we see that Envy actually held them before the second point, so very important for 100 Thieves to get a good defense here on the first point. Envy's starting to push the cart forward. We're going to start off this clip by seeing a classic Bubble Blaster trade. So we see both Star-Lords kind of running in, getting bubbled by their Magnetos, and using Blaster Barrage just to build up a ton of ult percentage, each player getting about 30% ult charge just from this one ability combo. Very strong. And we also see is that if you look right here, kind of hard to see in this clip, but Terra gets hooked in and is going to get picked off. So a very early death from the side of 100 Thieves. And usually in this situation, it's a lost fight. And we see a lot of teams will just kind of take a fight here, like as fast as possible, so that they can come back and take a second fight here. 100 Thieves doesn't do this very often. Instead, what they do is elect to kite backwards and kind of turtle until they're ready to refight. So we're going to see delenaa also get picked off here in this clip. So now 100 Thieves is down 2 players, but 100 Thieves is a very interesting response that I don't see a lot of other teams doing, if any. Terra will go to Doctor Strange as a third tank here, and TP both him and delenaa back to the fight. So what's normally expected here is Envy is up 6v4. You can see all 6 players alive. These 2 people are out of the fight. So Envy's expecting a 6v4 and just an easy cleanup into roll into we got the point. But because of Terra's response here with Doctor Strange, they turn this fight into a nice 6v6 fight for them for 100 Thieves. So here they come. They're about to portal back. 100 Thieves is turtling. There's the portal. They come back. They force out the rune. Both teams using ults. We see NK plop his ult here. He's going to get a pick again. So now 100 Thieves still, even after that, even after they brought back both players, they're still in a bad position. They're down a player. Vinny was one of the characters closest to his ult. They already used this ult to try and sustain. They already used the Loki ult to try and sustain, but it didn't actually help them that much. They got picked anyway. But what happens here is that they're going to continue to turtle, and right when TTK is ready, he pops his ult. SJP pops his ult as well. Now they have the sustain from this. They have the potential to turn the fight here. SJP is going to go purple for 1 second, flicker the damage moves again. Huge ult from TTK now that the other team is Envy's trying to push forward. They're in a bad spot. They get ulted, and this basically lost fight, basically an abysmal fight, abysmal start to any fight for 100 Thieves is now just a one fight for them, and now they get to continue on. All right, in this clip, we see 100 Thieves defending here on domination. We see they have about 27%. Alts are just about even. We see Sentinels a little bit ahead on alt charge, but not too far. So Sentinels is going to be pushing through this choke to try and retake the fight from 100 Thieves. And one thing I want you to really pay attention to during this clip is the fact that 100 Thieves is not going to ult first here. Because they have control of the point, they understand that the initiative is on Sentinels to do something. So if nothing happens and both teams just stare at each other, right, then 100 Thieves wins the game. So they are making sure that Sentinels feels forced to do something. And that's kind of exactly what happens in this clip. So Sentinels is working their way out of the choke, using their tank line of Collusion Hogs to push out. We see Kaluj walk pretty far forward and look for an ult. You see TTK kind of spin around for a second. What he's doing is looking for his teammate to bubble them so that Kaluj can't send the meatball at them and one-shot them. So Kaluj here is ulting in the middle of the point. We're going to see... who is it? We're going to see Karova use that Luna ult and come try and meet him to damage boost the meatball. So he comes out, gets the damage boost off. He gets a lot of damage off, but it's not enough to kill anybody. And Harvey actually copies the Luna ult and is able to save his team. So good response here from 100 Thieves. We also see the whale coming through from the side of Rymazing, but we also see that Karova doesn't actually flicker damage boost for this. And so everyone here that's back here, you can't really see them, but the backline Aramori gets stunned by the whale, but doesn't actually die because of that little misplay. So just absorbing damage, staying alive with this Harvey ult. We get a huge ult from Terra just as Karova ult is ending, but it's a little too early, and we see Aramori immediately respond with a copy. She copies the Luna ult to save everyone, so no one's going to die from Terra's ult here. And we're going to see them actually get turned on here. So they do a Hogs ult back. They get a big stun onto the team of 100 Thieves. TTK actually goes down. And in a second, we're actually going to see Vinny go down as well. So Vinny's far forward here. He dies. So now this is pretty much like, in most cases, a lost fight. You have a tank with ult who just died. Your other tank has just died. Your front line's completely dead. They also have an offensive ult on the side of Sentinels to try and clean this up. But what happens here is kind of crazy. So we see delenaa kind of walk out to the side. He picks Karova out of nowhere. And then SJP gets his ult off. So now no one's dying anymore, pretty much. There's a low chance of people dying. Everyone's safe in the Luna ult. And you see delenaa walk back to meet up with SJP so that he can get the damage boost for his ult and turn this fight back around. So he already got a pick. He looks for his ult. The damage flicker comes on. He gets 2 more. And now this fight's already over in the other direction. So what was a lost fight for 100 Thieves is now a one fight for them. So really good pressure absorbing and able to turn that fight around again. I also wanted to highlight 100 Thieves' great ult economy. We see in this clip that Terra, Vinny, delenaa all have ults for 100 Thieves, and we see Hogs, Karova, and Aramori all have ults for Sentinels. The big difference between the two setups is that 100 Thieves already has 65% on the point. This means they're kind of in one fight territory. If they win one more fight, they most likely win the game. It'll get them to like 90-ish. So what we're going to see is as Sentinels push forwards and starts to use ults to win the fight, we're going to see 100 Thieves just be like, okay, you guys can keep ulting, that's fine. We're just going to come back with even more. So we see Karova ult early. Now we see Vinny actually smartly use his Groot ult to try and bait out even more from Sentinels. And we see Sentinels respond with the 2 ults that they have remaining. Hogs ults back, Aramori ults to save people against Vinny's ult. And as the fight breaks down, we see 100 Thieves just trying to buy time. They try and just die on the point, keep this timer going up and up and up, and they get almost to 90%. I believe they do get to 90% here. They're getting wiped. Point flips. It's at 90%. But now we're looking at a giant alt economy gap on the side of 100 Thieves, right? We have 4 alts on the side of 100 Thieves, and we only have 2 coming up for Sentinels. Sentinels is going to look to push forward here to try and build their alts quickly, which is smart. We're going to see that right now. We see Kaluge pushing forward with Super Gomez. Ramazing gets his ult. Super Gomez trying to poke out to make sure he gets his ult in time. 100 Thieves is kind of going around to this top high ground. But it's just not going to be enough. And see delenaa almost get a pick in neutral again. Terra comes over. He ults. That forces out Super Gomez's ult. Ramazing also ults to try and get some value. But neither of them get a kill with either of their ults. We see TTK start to walk in. SJP ult with the Luna ult. delenaa gets a kill on Ramazing. TTK gets a big Eye of Agamotto here. And they clean up the fight. And there's not going to be enough time for 100 Thieves to touch. So TTK starts to open a portal to try and block. But this is something that I've never seen before until this clip. They open a portal just above Kaluge, and then they throw a snowball at him so that he can't teleport. Just a little fun optimization there at the end to stop the portal in at the last second. Alright, so in this last clip, we're going to see something that doesn't really happen that often in Marvel Rivals, but it does illustrate just how good 100 Thieves is at the alt economy game. So in this clip, both teams actually have 6 alts ready to go for this next fight. And we're going to see how 100 Thieves actually uses this to their advantage. So FlyQuest is going to walk forward here and use to push forward to take the cart. And once again, we're going to see 100 Thieves not alting first when they have the defensive position. So Light alts, he immediately gets a pick on delenaa, but delenaa does almost get his ult off, which kind of causes Cooper to ult. And Harvey alts also in response to Light, and we also see Zelos ult to try and get the damage boost going for Light to kill everyone. So let's see how this plays out. We see both teams kind of at a standstill because of the Invisible Woman ults on either side. delenaa gets rezzed up by the BRB, and we're going to see FlyQuest continue to push forward. Spark Chief gets an ult. TTK goes down, Finny goes down, and now 100 Thieves has to back out. So a lost fight for 100 Thieves. However, if you take a look at the alt economy after that fight compared to before, there were 4 alts used on the side of FlyQuest and only 2 alts on the side of 100 Thieves. So coming back into this next fight, 100 Thieves is going to have a huge ultimate advantage over FlyQuest, and it's going to be too much for 100 Thieves to deal, or for FlyQuest to deal with. And considering that they're in overtime now, the planning couldn't have been better for 100 Thieves. So 100 Thieves takes a losing fight with low alts, comes back in overtime with more alts, overwhelms FlyQuest here. Even though FlyQuest starts to look like they're winning this fight, the alts from 100 Thieves are just going to end up being too much. And not to mention the close respawns for Harvey to come back into this fight. So and the portal in from TTK as well. So they come back to this fight with a bunch of alts. They clean up slowly. Eventually, they're not going to be able to touch anymore, and FlyQuest loses the fight. So another good use of alt economy there. So yeah, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.